So I did record the last game that I referenced in our proper frog video, where I was like 6-0 and I was like, let's see if I can make a trophy. And I did! But I did a really bad job of recording Arena so that it was super loud and my commentary was super quiet. And that's not, you don't want that. And also I realized watching that is like watching, it's like Paul Cheon at home. Like, I am not a good player. If you want to watch people play draft, go watch Paul Cheon or LSP or Gauntlet X or someone like that. That's not fun. But I did record a couple of games of my next frog deck that I drafted, and I thought it might be amusing to just go through those. Largely in this first case because it's the opposite of like being good. I realized, I'm doing the thing with frogs midway in this game. I should hit record. So this ends up being like a 13-turn game. And
you've got the Dreamdew Is it Entrancer?
Entrancer, yeah.
Dreamdew Entrancer. That's the guy.
Yeah, this deck, in the second video I have here, we'll look at the beginning of the actual deck list. So there's a Dreamdew Entrancer in here. There's a Dour Port-Mage. And I'm splashing for the snake.
Oh.
The mythic black snake,
yeah.
But Innkeeper's Talent. So like Dreamdew Entrancer is like the third winningest card in the set.
Yeah.
Innkeeper's Talent is like the 8th winningest card in the set, and that includes stuff like Sword of Fire and Ice off of the special guest list.
Yeah, so like this deck list is stacked.
But the point of this game actually is how I almost lose to Gossip's Talent, which has a 48% win percentage. It's like the bottom 10 in the entire set.
That's so
And basically this stupid Night Fisher and the Gossip's Talent, I almost just lose to this, despite having what looks like an overwhelming advantage.
I do want to add that in my much more limited experience on Arena,
Yeah.
I have gotten into some games against Gossip's Talent that really, really utilize it to maximum effect, and it's kind of brutal.
Well, the first or second game in our Two-Headed Giant, like at pre-release, that's what got us.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of a sleeper. Like, you don't think, you're like, eh.
But not even that, like, more times than not,
Yeah.
the person playing it just loses.
Yeah, but like, if you know what you're doing with it,
It can be a problem.
it can be. It was a problem for me.
and like this situation here, I have a bunch of things that are big enough that I could swing in a little bit, but my life total's already down a bit. They have flyers. They have a bunch of flyers. I only have the Entrancer who can block them, so I'm dead in like 2 turns if I just ignore things. And here I think I have to trade with the Night Fisher. Oh, but they didn't go for it that time. Oh, but that one...
They're going for the can't be blocked, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that thing swings unblockable, but you get to draw a card.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, I end up winning the game. I already kind of asserted that I almost lost.
But by a more narrow margin than one would think.
This is the first game I played with this deck, and I was so proud of it when I drafted. Like, yes, I'm going to do this whole trophy thing again. And then, like, at this point in the game, I'm like, oh no. I can't stop this. I've got to figure out a way to, like, start swinging and beat down the things. And you'll see they just keep finding ways to block and chump and... That Night Fisher, I have never played another game. I don't know if I've played against it at all, but in this game, it just makes a fish every turn.
Yeah.
Because my opponent had a bunch of birds.
I don't recognize that player's username, but watching this is interesting because I played against a very similar situation myself recently, and I was just like, this is nuts. Like, this shouldn't be happening right now.
No. By default, I probably intended to start bouncing something with the Dour Port-Mage every turn, and either using the Tree Guard duo. I think I was reluctant to bounce the Tree Guard duo at this point because it already had so many counters on it. I didn't want to lose those.
That makes sense.
At the same time, I want to rebuy things.
Yeah, because they have some. They have one that 4/4 over there. I was like, most of the bigger stuff is in the air, but I could see not wanting to lose that.
Yeah.
That 7/8 body.
Yeah. Mind Whisker there. Yeah, it seems obvious to me now that I'm looking at it, and I think this is how the game eventually resolves, but this shoreline looter there is essentially unblockable. And so I probably should have much earlier put that out and just started stacking counters on it. But... Okay, so yeah, that buys me at least 2 turns. So they can't attack with it again next turn. Well, I guess they would be able to attack with any of the smaller things, though.
True.
And give them unblockable, but it moves it from a 3-turn clock to a 4 or 5-turn clock. But because it's a bird, it's going to make another fish when they play it back out with the Night Fisher on the battlefield. Ah, okay. But now with the Spellgyre... Spellgyre? I think it's Spellgyre.
I think it's Spellgyre?
You can just kill the bird when it tries to come back. I think pretty reasonably if I can stick the Shoreline Looter for just a couple of turns. It's pretty hard to lose then. But I was not highly confident in any of this at this point.
Yeah, I have yet to open one in paper or on Arena, but I have seen that Innkeeper's talent is really good.
Yeah, and it's pricey too. Like it must be in some constructed decks.
Yeah.
It gets pretty bonkers, but Hunter's Talent, the uncommon. That
I like that one.
When you get that one to the chapter 3 or whatever, level 3, you're drawing a card every turn. That feels better to me, but clearly I am bad at card evaluation.
I had that one in one of my recent decks, and that I did moderately well with. Like that one feels.
Oh, it is.
It
is quite good. It's very high.
Like comparatively.
Yeah, it's got a high win percentage, but it's not like bomb level.
Yeah.
Like Innkeeper's talent though is bomb level. Yeah, watching this back is wild to me. I still had not played the Shoreline Looter.
Yep, here comes more fish.
I guess I was thinking pretty soon I'll be able to have enough counters and everything. I can just Alpha Strike, and they will have to block with enough things that they won't be able to kill me on the crackback. But meanwhile, they're chipping in, and so this is the point where I'm like, am I really going to lose this game with these cards, with all the best cards? But you get to a place like this, and mana, despite having 7 lands out, actually becomes a bottleneck.
Yeah.
Like, you can bounce things with the Port-Mage, but you can't bounce everything and cast all the things in your hand and. Activating the Harvester. Alright, start getting the value. Double draw, because the Dour Port-Mage triggers, and you get the rebuy the ETB from the Pawn Profit. But Clement lets you bounce something with a lower mana value, so I have 3 things at 2, so I'm done getting things back at the moment until I get something bigger.
Good old Clement.
Yeah. But his ability to tap frogs for mana isn't nothing either. I think it's just frogs, right?
I think so. Frogs only?
Yeah, this really is the dream deck, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to do a frog deck, and I didn't get all of these real strong pieces for mine. I still managed to do pretty well, considering that I don't have the best record on Arena, but I think I won 5 games before I ended up getting bounced out, so that's pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Deciding who gets the present.
Yeah, I think it's all based on the fact that the Night Fisher's a 5/5. I don't want anything to get eaten. But I want to attack with enough things, and that's back to the, can I Alpha Strike?
Yeah.
Because if one thing gets eaten, but I kill everything else, that's probably fine. But when you're at 7, maybe not that even. So. Yeah, I was being pretty conservative there.
Yeah, I have found that little cycle that they have going on where they're getting a tapped fish almost every turn.
Yeah.
That was one of those things that
You didn't counter that before?
Yes.
Wow.
That was the situation. It was that situation with Gossip's talent that completely screwed me over.
That's wild.
Yes.
It's one of those like surprising it's happened twice things.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out that's actually, it's probably not a super strong combo because we don't see it coming up too often.
And Birds is one of the worst performing archetypes, so people don't try it much.
But I guess if it's open and you end up drafting that, you can do this. I don't know what the overall win
What I have right
is.
now is a white-blue deck, but it's actually just splashing Ral,
Oh,
the Planeswalker.
Oh, okay.
I was not feeling good about that draft.
So it's like mostly white and then...
Not really. It's like half and half. It's mostly a bunch of blue bounce.
Okay.
It's just tempo stuff.
Yeah.
And then Ral, and you make a bunch of otters, and all your bounce spells are triggering the prowess on everything.
Yeah.
So it's just 2-0. It might scrub out a 2-3. I don't know, but it's worked twice, and I was really happy about that. One hit with that stupid bird. If they could just remove the Entrancer. But I think at this point, I do have a good Alpha Strike, or the that in combination with the Looter. Oh, okay. I decided not to do that for whatever reason. Oh, that's right, that's right. So I decided, okay, now I can use the Tree Guard duo to buff the unblockable Looter.
Okay.
And that assures, what, 9 points of damage, 11 points of damage, something like that. Oh. Oh, yeah, okay.
Creature, okay.
That was Clement's bounce, okay.
I see now.
Which is in the draw. Look at all those triggers.
Now it's
This is so obnoxious from the opponent's perspective, I'm sure, because I have played against Frog decks and I'm like, come on, take your turn. In fact, I think they were like, that's enough.
I'm done.
Yeah, and I cannot blame them.
Yeah, fair.
Victory.
I've been there myself.
Yeah, so that was game 1.
You weren't sure if you had fun in that match? It looks like there was a little...
No, like we talked about in the anxiety episode, I get just so worked up no matter what when I'm playing pretty much anything. So I'm just like, at the end of any game, especially if it's close at all.
Oh, so that was just jitters.
Yeah, yeah, it was. And if I lose pretty soundly, then I'm fine. I'm only fine if I'm losing by like a decent margin. If I feel like I've got a shot, I get so worked up.
There's a chance this could go well.
And if I catastrophically fail, then I get like tilted.
Okay.
So I have to.
You need a nice like lower middle ground of.
Yeah.
Just kind of mid-level failure.
Yeah. So here is the deck.
Okay.
I'll press play on this in a second, but I'll leave it pause for a second here just so we can see what's actually in the deck. There's one Dreamdew Entrancer. We got Clement, as we've seen. And the Innkeeper's Talent. Those are clearly the highlights. And then just the one Swamp and the Rottenmouth Viper, the 2 Fountain Warp Elves. I figured that's plenty between that and the Swamp. And the Rottenmouth Viper you can cast pretty late and be happy about it. So I figured that would be it. And there's so much card draw. Well, is there so much? There's 2 Pawn Prophets, and sometimes you bounce them. So
I love that snake so much.
Me too.
I'm playing it in a standard deck I made that is a lot of fun.
I feel like a better player than me would look at this and say, no, take out that stupid splash, put in something simple but functional like this extra dire downdraft. But no, I'm going to play the snake. Salt my life.
It's really fun.
All right, so play on that. It's just refamiliarizing myself because it had been a day or two since I'd played a game here. Another side effect of getting so worked up, like sometimes like, okay, that's it for this deck today. If especially it's a deck that I feels like is a great deck, I get so worked up. I have to like take a lot of time between each game. And this one I recorded 2 days ago and have not played anything since. But so I was really considering, do I keep this hand? Well, I've got a Pawn Prophet that I can play with the 2 islands. And the Dour Port-Mage, you can start bouncing it. It's possible that both of you killed immediately.
You've got the Innkeeper's Talent in hand, so if you
I figured I have all these great
yeah.
cards. This will be fine. I was worried I was going to get just run over by this Mistbreath Elder pretty quickly, because I have run people over with a turn 1 Mistbreath Elder before. It's great.
A concern. Depending on which side of it you're on.
Yes.
It's a concern. Oh, I love how Tiny Bones head comes off when that happens.
Bonebite Orator is such a weird card to play against because I don't want to kill this. They're just going to get back something. They want it to die.
Yeah.
And even if they don't literally want it to die, like, they generally benefit from that. But of course, here it's just starting to embiggen the Mistbreath Elder over and over and over.
Indeed.
Do I make the really risky double block here to try and kill it? If I do, that was probably not worth the risk in retrospect, but oh no. I kind of regret doing that. I think it works out for me, but it seems unwise. Like, they could have had a saver. They were likely to have a saver. And that would have just absolutely blown me out. So yeah, it took a stupid risk and it paid off.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course, now they can get that Mistbind, the Elder back when their Orator dies, but it's going to be much later in the game. There are things that actually matter on the battlefield then, so who cares? So I think I was just planning on bouncing the Pawn Prophet here to get another draw this turn, and probably another draw then when I replay the Prophet. So it's like, Squirrels is the only deck that I feel like is going to match Frogs for late game value, because they can just accumulate so many foods. They can live forever. More prone to decking themselves, probably. I don't know how many cash grabs, but...
Yeah, I've had, I don't know where they stack up in terms of the overall archetypes, but I've had the most fun playing Lizards.
Yeah.
That has turned into my favorite.
They're in the top 3 or 4. Alright, Innkeeper's Talent and probably Pawn Prophet here? Yeah, I guess might as well see what that draws first. I don't know what else I would have played. Do I play that? It's fun having a bad memory. I have no idea what happened 2 days ago.
That's the best thing about having a bad memory, though, is like you can watch movies again for the first time. There's so many experiences that you can have more than once for the first time ever.
Yeah. I think that would have been a reasonable thing to play the Looter first, so that the next turn you start putting the Innkeeper counters on something that's unblockable and just start. But this makes the Pawn Prophet trade with something, and so they're a lot less incentivized to attack, and if they do, I'm not suddenly losing a race. Meanwhile, that Rotten Mouth Viper is sitting in my hand, and I know eventually all this card draw is going to get me to being able to cast it.
No.
It's okay. Did good work. And so did the Pawn Prophet. Those two together drew like 4 cards. So now it's a 2/2 and 3 cards versus 6 cards. And that just doesn't feel too bad. Well, plus the Innkeeper's Talent. That I cannot understate how good that is. Yeah, that makes sense. Use all the mana. Don't waste the Tree Guard Duo ETB. More cash grabs. That's. I guess I got pretty lucky there. That the frog can. The frog is value, but it's not gonna block any of this very profitably. It can get you a lot of mana in this kind of situation, though. They did quite the hybrid frog squirrel thing. Another example of how bad limited mana bases are. Of course, I compromised mine to get the snake in further, but...
I think you owed that to yourself, though.
Yes. No regrets.
Very important.
No regrets. I'm guessing I didn't want to offer to trade the Druid into that attack because I figured then they just lose the Orator and get back something else they want to get back. Become allergic to trading with Orators.
I mean, as a necromancer myself, I tend to not play into those strategies. I'm like, I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, you would think I would have the decency not to exile people's graveyards, but no, I'm the first one to do it. I am the first
Other
one
direction.
to do it. Yeah.
Necromancers aren't known for their empathy.
Yes, we are.
I wonder what they wanted me to sack there. I presume they would have preferred to get rid of Clement. And there's the Mist Breath. But I still have a dire downdraft, so I can get rid of it if it starts getting big again. This Splash Portal is such a wild card in terms of going late in the draft because no one wants it except frogs. I think I've played it once in a non-frog deck. Why did I do that? I guess I was just trying to slow him down. Must have thought I was getting far enough ahead that I could just... Because I know that if I do that, they're probably going to bounce their land fetching frog again too. And usually I'm pretty anxious about the Splash Portal when there's any mana up and they can kill something, but in this case, I think I was probably pretty relieved that, hey, there's a... no cards in their hand that can't kill whatever I bounce. I wonder if I just do a double trigger on this. Yeah. One option is then just bounce the trigger or flicker the duo and get another +3 on the looter. Oh, but I didn't choose to do that for whatever reason. Why? Maybe that was just a misplay. Yeah, I can't... Maybe I had forgotten that the Tree Guard duo was half frog, and so it would have counted for the... I don't know.
Mistakes happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sitting with that Dazzling Denial. That has been a pretty rough card to play, just because it's fine in the early game, and then as soon as you're in this kind of situation, you're never going to use it. But I guess there's a lot of looting in the... I mean, there's the Bellowing Criers. I think I'm running 1 or 2 of those in here. But hey, it worked out in this case. They replayed their frogs so many times that eventually I got to counter one.
Yeah.
I mean, they still got 11 lands out, or 10 lands out.
They got a lot out of it first.
Oh, yeah, speaking
of, there's the Bellowing Crier.
So, yeah.
I really enjoyed finding things to feed him for that image I made.
The thumbnail, yeah.
Did you see the Tide Pod?
Yes.
Good.
Classic. And there
it's
is
happening.
The Rottenmouth Viper.
It's finally time.
Mm-hmm.
It's time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And now we're at Threshold, so the Shoreline Looter is drawing cards instead of looting. That may have been true the prior turn. I've lost track.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. This has to be fairly demoralizing. I actually had a deck with 2 of these like a week or 2 ago, and it went like 4 and 3 because if your deck isn't good enough at keeping you alive until you can cast one of them, it doesn't matter. And that one wasn't. It was okay. But yeah, this deck is so good at just spinning its wheels and staying alive that it can really take advantage of that. And also, you can just sandbag things like that until your opponent's used all their removal.
Yeah, that Viper is a problem. I've been on the wrong side of it once now, and that was unpleasant.
When I see one across the table from me, I'm never equipped to deal with it. But most of the time when I play one, immediately it dies. But this is the one time, that's partly why I wanted to show you this video, because this is the one time it lived long enough to attack, so it got its second counter right here. And I don't think I've had that experience before now.
My favorite thing is the deck that I'm running that has 2 copies of it right now. And recently I was playing a game where played it, got the initial trigger. I think I got to swing with it one time. They ended up killing it the next turn, or later. It must have been the next turn, because they drew in. I assume they drew into something to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I had the other one in my hand, so the very next turn I just played another one. They were not pleased.
Did they concede?
They did. I think they were just done at that point, which is fair.
Yeah.
That is valid. That is a valid response to that situation.
Yeah.
I do like that little mole on the innkeeper's talent.
Oh yeah, it's super cute.
really enchanted with this entire world, so these drafts have been a lot of fun for me.
I guess I just put that on there so it could kill the two things. I don't know that I... Surely I couldn't conceivably be at risk at this point. I think I should have just attacked all at this point. I don't know. Maybe I was just so pleased with myself that I didn't feel like I needed to make good decisions.
Yeah, because they don't have...
it's all the...
They
have
all that food.
That's what it was. Yeah. So
I forgot about the food.
So they actually survive this turn, I guess. Yeah, I jumped there.
Mm-hmm.
Eat the food.
Ooh. Oh, go to 1.
Yeah, but I guess even if they had Season of Loss, which would make you sacrifice 5 things, like I think this game was over.
You need Hazel's Nocturne. It's my favorite way to close a game.
Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, there's a lot of those spells. There's like Hazel Nocturne and the common bat duo that just drain for 2.
Yeah,
also.
I'm playing those too.
Yeah. Mind Whiskers, I can't believe how good Mind Whisker has turned out to be. Especially when you get 2 of them. Suddenly your opponent's whole team gets -2-0. Like, that is substantial.
That's brutal and limited.
Yeah. I remember, like, Boarded Up Door or something like that in Midnight Hunt had a kind of similar effect, and people thought it was going to be good and ended up being trash.
Yeah.
But apparently when it's on a creature that also lets you
when
surveil all the time.
Creature, that changes things.
Yeah, it's a good package. So yeah, that was fun time frogs.
Froggy fun times.
Yeah.